Let me tell you the truth, no one else has the guts to say out loud your biggest enemy is not fear. It's not failure. It's the voice in your head that keeps whispering. But I'm here to flip that voice on its back and stomp it out for good. Because everything, Eveything, is possible. And it doesn't start with talent. It doesn't start with money. It starts with one brutal decision. You decide to believe in yourself, even when it makes no sense to. You think the people winning out here feel ready? No. They feel terrified. But they move anyway. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect timing. They wake up and they COS themselves before the world ever claps for them. You don't need approval. You need a CTM. You don't need validation. You need Kayurai. And if you want to change your life, stop waiting for a miracle and be the damn miracle. Belief in yourself is not some soft motivational quote. It is the ignition switch to everything you want, but don't yet have. It's the raw, brutal decision to say I'm worthy before there's any evidence to back it up. It's refusing to let your past become your prison. When you decide to believe in yourself, you're not waiting for signs. You're not waiting for people to understand. You're not waiting for the world to clap. You're moving like it's already yours. And most people never get there. They stay in the loop of doubt, waiting for someone else to choose them, hoping for permission to start. But the people who change their lives, the ones who build from nothing, they believe first, not after the fact. They believe when it's irrational. They believe when it's lonely. They believe when their bank account is empty, when the rejections pile up, when the door keeps slamming shut in their face, and they still show up. Because belief isn't about ego. It's about survival. It's about deciding that your future matters more than your fear. This kind of belief doesn't come with fireworks. It's silent. It's personal. It happens in those moments no one sees. When you get up early after crying all night. When you choose to keep going, even though quitting would be easier. When you speak up even though your voice shakes. Real belief is forged in the fire of disappointment. It's choosing to trust yourself when everything around you says don't. And let's be honest, most people never get there because they are too busy looking for proof. But let me say it straight, proof comes after belief, not before. You don't need someone to tell you you're ready. You don't need life to line up perfectly. You need to bet on yourself when it's risky, when it's ugly, when it's uncomfortable. And that's what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who sit on the sidelines. You will not feel confident when you start. You will not have the answers. But belief is not about knowing how. It's about deciding that you will figure it out no matter what. And that kind of decision flips your entire life. Because when you believe in yourself, your energy shifts. People feel it. Opportunities start opening. But more than anything, you start acting different. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop shrinking to fit into the spaces that were never meant for you. You show up like you belong because you've already told yourself you do. You stop waiting to be chosen. You start choosing yourself every damn day. The reason most people stay stuck is because they think belief is something you either have or don't. But belief is a choice. And it's a choice you make over and over and over. Especially when it hurts, especially when it's hard, especially when there's no applause. Belief is what makes you get up again when you fail. It's what makes you speak when no one listens. It's what makes you build when no one watches. Because you're not doing it for validation. You're doing it because you know, deep in your bones, that you were made for more than what you're settling for. And that knowing, that's your weapon. That's your fire. That's the thing that will carry you through every setback and every storm if you don't let it go. The world will try to make you doubt it. People will project their fear onto you. They'll say you're being unrealistic. They'll laugh at your ideas. They'll question your goals. But that has nothing to do with you. That's their small thinking, their limited mindset, their fear talking. Do not internalize it. Do not let someone else's limitations become your belief system. When you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to convince them. You just outgrow them. You don't argue. You don't defend. You don't explain. You move. You build. You rise. And eventually, they either watch in awe or disappear from your life entirely. Believing in yourself is the greatest rebellion in a world that profits from your doubt. Because the moment you believe, you become powerful. You stop needing validation. You stop trying to be liked. You stop editing yourself to make others comfortable. You walk in rooms and take up space like you were born to be there. Because you were. And that's when everything shifts. That's when fear loses its grip. That's when excuses start to sound ridiculous. That's when you become dangerous to every limitation you ever believed about yourself. If you want to change your life, stop looking outward. The battle was never out there. The fight was always inside. And once you win that battle, once you decide that you are enough, worthy, capable, and destined for more, then every obstacle becomes just another step, not a wall. Every delay becomes preparation. Every setback becomes a setup. Because belief turns pain into fuel. It turns doubt into fire. It turns failure into feedback. When you believe in yourself, you stop folding when it gets hard. You stop running when it gets real. You stop giving your power away to people who don't even know what it took for you to survive. This belief is not something you find. It's something you build. And you build it by showing up for yourself every single day, even when no one sees you, even when no one claps, even when nothing is working. Because you know that real belief doesn't need a stage. It needs consistency. It needs commitment. It needs guts. And if you give it that, there is nothing you can't do. You are more than your circumstances. You are more than your trauma. You are more than your mistakes. And when you finally stop running from who you are and start owning your worth, you become unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And that strength, that comes from one decision, one belief, one voice inside of you that says, I will not quit on myself again. Action is the ultimate weapon against fear, doubt, insecurity, and every excuse that's been keeping you stuck. You can sit in your room and overthink your life for 10 years and still be in the exact same spot, or you can take one terrifying step forward and change your entire reality. The truth is, nobody ever feels fully ready. Nobody ever wakes up and says, now I have zero fear. Now everything's perfect. Now I can begin. That moment doesn't exist. Action doesn't wait for your emotions to catch up. It drags them with it. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care if you're scared. It just moves. And in that movement, fear starts to die. Doubt starts to crumble. The lies you believed about yourself lose power because action exposes them. It shows you with proof that you are capable, that you are strong, that you can survive the things you thought would break you. You don't eliminate fear by thinking about courage. You eliminate fear by doing what you're afraid of until fear has no voice left. The people who get what they want in life are not the ones who have less fear. They are the ones who take more action in spite of it. They are the ones who show up with shaking hands and trembling voices and still say, let's go. Because they understand something most people never learn. Fear is a liar, but action is truth. Fear tells you you're not ready. Action shows you that you are. Fear tells you you're going to fail. Action gives you experience, wisdom, and power even if you fall flat on your face. Fear paralyzes you. Action frees you, and most of the time, the thing you're afraid to do is the exact thing you need to do. That conversation you don't want to have. That opportunity you're scared to go for. That change you've been avoiding. You think it's danger. It's not. It's growth. And action is the doorway to every level of growth you've been begging the universe for. Nothing changes until you do something. Period. No book, no podcast, no motivational quote will save your life if you don't move your feet. You can have the greatest dream in the world, but if your actions don't match it, it's worthless. You're not going to think your way into confidence. You're not going to pray your way into progress without backing it up with action. You want to stop doubting yourself. Get to work. Build. Try, fall. Get back up. Repeat. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you train your mind to believe you are capable. You create evidence. You stop telling yourself stories and start writing a new one with your actions. And yes, you'll feel fear every step of the way. But do you know what's worse than fear? Regret. Waking up in 5 years realizing you traded your entire future for the comfort of staying the same. Taking action doesn't mean you'll get it right every time. You won't. You'll make mistakes. You'll look stupid. You'll fall on your face. But that's the price of growth. That's the cost of becoming who you were always meant to be. You will never build a powerful life trying to avoid discomfort. Discomfort is your ally. It is the signal that you're stepping outside your old identity and into your future self. It is the proof that you are no longer settling. And every time you act in spite of fear, you build a new identity. One that says, I move even when I'm scared. I show up even when I'm unsure. I'm not waiting to feel ready. I'm becoming ready by doing. And that is how you build a level of self-respect no one can give or take away from you. You can't meditate your way into a new life without also moving your feet. You can't visualize your future if your present actions contradict it. The moment you take action, the game changes. The moment you move, even a little, you shift out of victim mode and into creator mode. Suddenly, you're not just surviving. You're shaping your reality. You're not hoping anymore, you're doing. You're not talking about what you want. You're building it brick by brick with your actions. And that kind of power scares people who've never moved beyond their fear. You stop being relatable to the ones who settle. You stop being understandable to the ones who quit. Because now you're not just dreaming, you're proving. You're becoming the evidence that action beats everything. Education, talent, opportunity, because action creates its own luck, its own door, its own future. You don't overcome fear by negotiating with it. You don't silence doubt by sitting still. You win by taking the step before you feel ready. You win by risking failure. You win by walking into the unknown again and again until it stops feeling scary and starts feeling like home. Every person you admire, every success story you envy, it started with one terrifying move. They weren't special. They weren't chosen. They just moved. They acted when others hesitated. They acted when others overthought. They acted when others said, maybe later. They chose discomfort now over regret later. And that's what you need to do. Stop waiting. Stop stalling. Stop researching. You know enough. You've thought enough. Now it's time to move like your future depends on it. Because it does. Action is how you reclaim your power. It's how you stop being a spectator in your own life and become the one holding the pen. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start saying, so what if I do? Because the worst thing that can happen is you fall and learn. But if you don't act, you don't even get that. You just stay stuck in a loop, overanalyzing, second-guessing, drowning in your own potential with nothing to show for it. That is the real failure. That is the real loss. Not trying, not starting, not showing up. If you want to know what your life will look like in 5 years, don't look at your dreams. Look at your habits. Look at your actions. Look at what you're doing today when no one is watching. Because that is the seed, and your future will grow from it. Whether you like it or not. Everything you want is on the other side of action. Not talk, not hope. Action. And the craziest thing? Once you start moving, even the smallest steps create momentum.